following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Welcome into another edition of Talkin Cowboys here from Oxnard, California, as we are 42 days away from kickoff of the 2021 NFL season, and we have got plenty to talk about because more things change, the more they seem to stay the same. Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola, I'm Kyle Yeomans, and gentlemen, we had quite the scare yesterday. I think it's to say the least amongst Cowboys Nation, and it revolved around a certain quarterback, certain name that rhymes with Zach, but it's not Zach. It's actually Dak Prescott. First off, just kind of give us your initial thoughts on what you were thinking during practice yesterday. Of course, Dak Prescott leaving early due to a muscle strain in his right shoulder, his throwing shoulder. Rob, what did you see and what did you hear after the fact?
Well, first off, it's not training camp until Todd Archer's across the tennis court with a sport coat on over shorts doing a live shot for ESPN. That's when you know something big is going on. And it's not training camp until there's an injury, unfortunately, or something going on with a significant player. It's nice to be out here and get started, but this is the reality of football. And it was a scary moment because you're out there watching practice and Dak just kind of stops throwing during the 7-on-7 period, didn't do anything the rest of it. And when you're talking to Jim Maurer, the head athletic trainer, there's something going on. When one-on-ones, I'm sorry, that was one-on-ones. When 7-on-7 and team drills happened, he jogged off the field and eventually went and got an MRI, and we got some updates on that in terms of arm soreness. Turns out the MRI mix says it's a muscle strain in his shoulder on his throwing arm, and they're just going to be careful with him for the next few days. And Mike McCarthy was on the fan this morning saying basically it sounded like he's going to do some form of practice. Mick, you okay? Are you sweating?
No. This trail mix, something went down my throat, and it's trailing me right now.
You got your water there, right? You good?
Yeah, short of a Heimlich, I think I'm okay.
Eating on the air, it's a no-no for that reason.
It'd be a good visual. Somebody saves me, right?
So I totally lost my train of thought, but
I'll pick it up for you.
Can you talk?
You basically that was my lead to mix shots. It's like always something. Training camp doesn't start until something happens, and something always happens, right? We had a clean week, and then it's like, okay, the pads came on, and training camp starts, and you have an injury, and I was good with the sore arm. I liked that. I didn't like when it was up in the shoulder.
Turned
there's
into
too
muscle
many,
strain in the
Because there's
shoulder?
too many things in the shoulder that can go wrong that are serious, right? The first thing you think of is an AC joint or something like that, that it gets sprained. My first question to somebody was, did he get hit? And it's like, no, it's a muscle thing. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Now, Dak called it tightness. It wasn't like and he said he developed it the day before. It started bothering him, and he kind of pushed through it, and he thought he could push through it yesterday, and it tightened up on him is what he said. So if Dak decided to shut himself down, then it's got to be something, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't just go in for a hangnail.
To your point, Mike McCarthy on the fan this morning, because they asked him, like, he's probably going to lie, right, and say he's okay. He said he does have the communication with Britt and the training staff is really good. He's not going to fudge it. He knows how important he is to the group. And what Mike said was, it sounded like he's going to maybe do something at practice now, not throw, but be involved in the run game stuff and be out there.
He can take snaps, right?
So
and he can run. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah.
So
that was the other thing. That was the other part yesterday where you're like, okay, it doesn't look like anything's wrong with his ankle, but that's the first thing that goes through your mind. And when he jogs off the field, you're like, he's good. And we kind of got word from that. But yeah, that was probably a really stressful moment for Cowboys fans, because on top of that, he was supposed to do those car wash interviews mid-afternoon out here with local media, and it got postponed, and it was like, oh, what's going on? He did get an MRI, and the news was pretty good. All things considered, that's pretty good news.
Yeah, it is pretty good news, and it's still considered a minor strain.
Yeah, Mike called it minor.
A soft strain. So the first thought, at least like you said, whenever he did jog off into the locker room, you were thinking, okay, the ankle is fine, check that box off. The second one is of course, he hadn't been hit yet, kind of like how Mick was talking about. He hadn't been in drills where he had even remotely been around taking a hit or had to avoid pressure or do anything really stressful. So I think the initial thought was probably something with the arm or the upper body at the same time. And so my initial thought went to pitching, baseball. Because you hear about it all the time, a starting pitcher getting warm, getting ready the bullpen, and then all of a sudden you feel some arm soreness, and then you have to shut it down and go get checked up on, and you may get scratched from a start here and there, and
then
that's
it turns
what
into
worried
Tommy
me.
John surgery.
Oh,
Exactly. So, and I had never heard about that sort of deal with a quarterback before, and even David Hellman said the same thing later on in the day after we had a conversation, but that's what scared me about it, was that it wasn't a contact thing. It was more of, like you said, a muscle issue. Is this something that could linger into the season? I know we're not doctors here by any means, but just based off of what you've seen in the past?
I just think he needs to be shut down, and he's talking a day or two. I'm thinking a week or two, and there's no reason for him to do anything until after the Hall of Fame game, right? And maybe not until after the Arizona preseason game.
My first thought was we won't see him throw out here until after Oxnard. Maybe not.
We got 5 weeks before the first week of preparation for the season opener.
It's a long time.
So that's a long time, and as long as it's just sore, irritated, or whatever, that should be enough time for it to recover. But when he was supposed to speak at 2:00 yesterday, right, with the TV stations, and then it was 2:30, and then at 3:00 it was 6:30 or 6:15, and I'm going, oh, something's up, right? Yeah. And that's, he went for an MRI, and the MRI showed soreness. So okay, fine, it's a muscle. That's a good thing. Somebody had tweeted out a picture of Mauer when they were still on the field going underneath his shoulder pad and doing this. And it's like, ooh, I don't like the looks of that. But we'll see how it turns out. But, yeah, you hate to see your starting quarterback. Because this sore arms have happened in training camp before.
Guys get dead arm. Yep, yeah, Romo used to get it, right?
Right, yeah, because you're not used to throwing day in and day out as much as they throw here. And another reason why it's a good thing that they don't have 2-a-days and no days off, I guess. So from a quarterback standpoint, you got to watch your pitch count. And even though there's 4 quarterbacks out there, for a while there was only 3, right, without Cooper Rush. So everybody's getting more throws. And, and he hadn't been throwing like that consistently. You can do it in the off season and train, right? But I don't know how many times he throws the ball out here.
It's true.
But you don't do that in a workout or a rehab session or, in OTAs, you do it for, it's 3 days and then you got a week off till the next 3 days. And here it's every day almost. So,
and, I mean, again, we don't know how much he throws on his own, but he wasn't doing team stuff in the spring. Yeah. So this is more of a workload than he's had. Not that he's being overworked, but he is working back into full practice here in training camp. I saw some speculation on Twitter last night that, maybe, he'll be back by the Rams practice. And I'm thinking, that's not a game. Who cares about that?
Yeah,
just because the Rams are coming in, who cares? But we'll see. I think one thing also that Mike said on the Fan this morning that's encouraging is there were certain throws that bother him, and there's certain throws that don't bother him at all. And so to me, that is an indication that this is probably something more mild than a grade whatever strain that he's dealing with in his muscle.
And he had talked about how it actually bothered him prior to yesterday.
Right.
He talked about Tuesday was when it first started flaring up, and of course we saw what happened Tuesday. The defense really got after him and was in the process of kind of starting a little bit of that defensive momentum. They continued that yesterday against the backup quarterback. So that leads me into this topic of conversation is, Are we comfortable right now at backup quarterback? Are we sure of what's going on with guys like Garrett Gilbert, Cooper Rush, Ben DiNucci back there? Because yesterday did not really soothe my nerves by any means.
I don't think we ever were comfortable.
Okay.
I wasn't comfortable in the offseason.
So what were you thinking yesterday?
It's practice.
Talking about practice, Will.
Right? It's practice. And quarterbacks are going to try to throw and make throws because there's no ramification if it gets intercepted, right? Mm-hmm. And as long as when they're judging that they make the right read. And 2 of the interceptions were throw-ups.
Yes.
Right?
Ben DiNucci to Israel
was
Mukuamu, 4th and 15.
DiNucci's was 4th and 15. They had to score a touchdown. He's under pressure. He just lobs it in the end zone, right? And there was nobody there. And then Mukuamu's was an overthrow. I don't know. He missed the receiver, and it was high, and it went right to him. Now, the other 2 were great plays. Parsons and
Anthony
Brown. They were cutting across the middle, and he saw somebody flash open, and they read it and cut in front. So those were great interceptions. The other 2, big deal. But at least they were catching the ball, right? Which they didn't do last year. Was actually catching the football. That's, by my account, in 2 days, that's 9 interceptions. And a couple drops, by the way. So Good for them. But I think Gilbert explained it pretty well that the defense was doing a really good job of disguising what they were in, and they were showing the offense some things that they hadn't seen before, where guys were going to be. So
Dalton Schultz said the same thing. It's a man look, maybe pre-snap, and then they're in zone, and that's – hey, if you're a Cowboy fan, you're liking that.
Yeah.
Because that's a defense that's showing all those different disguises like we heard about last year, but in practice, maybe it's being executed better. Well, and guys who don't have as many busts as maybe you're
guys like Terrell Basham talking about how simple it is, too, how they simplified the defense. And you mentioned last year where the team kind of wanted to see those hybrid looks and wanted to see the man and zone and the disguises and the things of the sort, and they saw that, but it was more complex, whereas the defense has simplified things down. But Mick, you started off by saying you weren't satisfied at the backup quarterback spot, and you talked about the good defense. And I feel like that's the balance that we have to decide on what we're seeing right now. Is it bad offense or good defense, and is it worrisome about what the offense has shown you the last 2 days?
No, I'm not worried whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, while the defense is bragging, there were 2 plays the day before that they busted coverages on the tight end, right?
Yep.
I tried Dalton
Schultz.
He didn't get my humor. It was like, was that a great move or did they bust the coverage? And he goes, the linebackers, I think. He was wide open. No one covered him. And then it was a play or 2 before. It was Blake Jarwin wide open down the middle, and I think it was Parsons and Neal were standing there looking at each other like, okay, which one of us was supposed to do that? Somebody was, right? So, yeah, they had a couple, even though they're bragging about their no-fly zone, they had a couple. That was the first time I saw busted coverages. But, again, these guys don't get to work that much in the season. You know, they improve in the off season, so it's good. Now, the blessing in disguise is the fact that these guys are going to get more reps, right? Gilbert will get more reps. DiNucci will get more reps. I think finally Rush got out there and took some finally. So they'll get more reps, and that's going to be either good or bad because it's good that you get the practice. It's bad if you expose why you're considered a backup quarterback. I always thought that, fine, let them fight it out, but keep an eye on the waiver wire the end of August because something's, like the other day, Blake Bortles came. Now, that didn't get me all excited.
It's on the mailbag this morning.
But if somebody shows up that's got some experience, right? These guys have 2 combined NFL starts. Backup quarterbacks need experience. They don't need to be young guys I'm bringing along. So if somebody gets what if Andy Dalton gets released by the Bears?
Oh,
right.
Give him a call.
Bring him back, right?
Yeah.
Somebody. They can't keep both Foles and Dalton as a backup quarterback and have 3 guys if the other guy wins the starting job, the rookie.
You're right.
So there's going to be somebody released. You got to keep their eye on that, and those guys are competing against themselves, and they're competing against the waiver wire.
this could almost be a blessing in disguise. Not you don't want to see Dak miss any time.
No.
But if it is indeed minor and that's what we're being told, then he's okay. And again, 6 weeks till the opener. And in the meantime, they're going to get more clarity on their backup quarterback position because Mickey's right. Like, they're not satisfied with it. They've said so many words that they're not, because they've said we're keeping our eyes open. They've brought in quarterbacks to work out in the springtime.
Two of them, right?
Yeah, didn't sign them. And that part of that is money. I mean, I would think, because they paid Andy Dalton $3 to $5 million last year to be a backup quarterback. I don't know if they have that kind of pocket change this year. So the hope would be Garrett Gilbert balls out and gives them a comfort level as the backup quarterback. Now he's going to have more reps, more opportunities to do that. If not, or even if he does play pretty well, to Mickey's point, there's always options in early September, whether it's cuts or we've seen them make trades in the past as well to bring in backup quarterbacks, quarterback depth. So I would not rule that out at all in the next few weeks. But in the meantime, all three other guys are going to get a lot of reps. And one way or another, we're going to get a feel for where it's at. And you're right, the last couple days have not been good overall. It's been the defense has dominated for the most part the last 2 days. And, Dak was part of that too 2 days ago.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Ben DiNucci, who had a pretty good start to camp, really just did not play well the last 2 days. Maybe he gets an opportunity running with the twos to finally fix a couple of his issues, I think, over the next couple of days. And then what you just talked about it, Garrett Gilbert going back to the ones, and he even spoke about it yesterday, saying, I'm comfortable with those guys. I got thrown into the mix a little bit last year, and when I was thrown into the fire, I didn't even know everybody's name at the same time. And now he's got a chance to turn around and maybe make an impact with the ones with legitimate practice reps.
With these quarterbacks and the backup quarterbacks, tell me what you think is more talented, the backup defensive line or the backup offensive line? Because the protection hadn't been good when those guys get in there. It's been problematic, especially when the pads came on.
I would agree.
I thought the deep backup defensive line has more talent than having all those backups on the offensive line. And so that'll affect the quarterback. Now these guys will have a chance maybe to get some reps with the first offensive line, which, by the way, looks pretty good.
Yes, they do.
And then the other thing that happens in this stuff is those guys aren't worrying about the run, right? Because you're not tackling anybody. All they're doing is pinning their ears back and going after the quarterback. Yeah. So it gets a little bit skewed on just how well they're playing. Because remember,
that's fair.
If they don't stop the run, they ain't rushing the quarterback, and they were bad. Last year.
You know what?
I had another word in there, and I caught myself.
That's a good one.
That is a good point. That, I mean, the pads come on, but you're not really getting a full gauge of your run defense until, I guess, preseason.
I was about to say, until you play somebody.
Yeah. Because then you're you got to put somebody on the ground, right? Right now, you're not putting anybody on the ground. You're just touching up. So, okay, they ran, and then and when they're looking at, that was 4-yard gain, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, I kind of want to continue this conversation a little bit later on. So let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, kind of along those same lines, is there an unforeseen position battle happening on that offensive line when we return with more Talkin Cowboys here from Oxnard?
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit AT&T.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Varilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Whether you're watching from home or you're cheering in the stands, with Essilor lenses, you can see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and see what Essilor can do for you. See more, do more, Essilor. As always, here on Talkin' Cowboys, Mickey Spagnola, Rob Phillips, Kyle Yeomans here from Oxnard, California, still kind of reeling after the news yesterday, and also a sigh of relief, I believe, of the news yesterday surrounding Dak Prescott and his shoulder injury. It is a muscle strain in his right shoulder, and at least at the moment, things look like it is minor, and it should be only a couple of days or weeks if we're Mickey Spagnola and Rob Phillips and here, and I agree with you guys too. By the way, sit him out for a couple of weeks, let it heal, and then get back to action. But, outside of that, we got a chance to see the offensive line blocking for a different quarterback. And like you said, the starting offensive line has looked really good. And I wrote this down yesterday in my practice notes, but Conor Mcgovern taking snaps for Zach Martin at right guard, pretty darn good from what I've seen yesterday. And of course, what he showed at the end of the year. Mike McCarthy even talked about it yesterday, speaking on how he was the most improved offensive lineman of the season last year, all the way down the stretch.
You're not going to say he's going to displace Zach Martin, are you?
I'm not saying Zach Martin.
Okay.
I'm talking about the other side. What about Conor Williams?
The guy that was the best offensive lineman last year?
So you don't agree if Conor Williams and Conor McGovern got in a bit of a guard battle?
I think that Conor Williams played well last year, considering he had a guy on his left side that had started one previous game in his career and was an undrafted free agent.
Brandon Knight.
And and they've already moved him from tackle,
yes,
right?
they have.
And then at center, you got Joe Looney and then Biotish playing for the first time in his NFL career. So I think everybody wants to replace Conor Williams for some reason. I'm not sure why. I think he's solid. Is he a Pro Bowler? Probably not, but I think he's solid. And I think it's good that you have another guard that can come in. I thought the hope was that he could do both. Well, he's not put his hand on, so they must not think he can play center in the NFL.
It's true.
That he is a guard. And, that's good. But I don't know that there's open competition yet because I haven't seen him take snaps with the first team at left guard in place of Williams unless he's playing center.
Or they're keeping him at guard so he can really focus on that competition. At left guard, and give him a real chance to win the job. Now, I'm.
You mean at
left guard?
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate. I agree with Mickey. I mean, I think I take crap for this on the normal rotation with Heck and Isaiah because I said Conor Williams played well last year. It was his best season as a Cowboy.
Now, coming off an
ACL, and now does he get overpowered at times?
Yes.
Yes. Has he improved in that area over 3 years?
Definitely.
Yes, he has. He's got a different body type than he did when he came in the league. He's in the final year of his deal. I don't know if he'll be back, and Conor McGovern could be prepared to slide into that spot in 2022. But if I had to guess, I would say he's the left guard, Conor Williams, once again, and possibly the backup center. I mean, they're taking a look at that, in training camp and see how it goes. But I don't see change in the starting lineup there, barring injury.
I think I'm with you guys ultimately. I have been impressed of what Conor McGovern has shown, and maybe this does kind of allude to the fact that Conor Williams has been chosen as maybe the work in backup center because they feel good about maybe replacing his spot in the starting lineup should something happen to Tyler Biadasz. Scoot over Conor Williams, Conor Mcgovern goes up to the left guard spot, and then all of a sudden you're feeling really good about your backup offensive line choices.
To your point about Conor Mcgovern, I talked to him at minicamp, and like Mickey said, he's only really working at guard, but he just feels like he's in a better place. If you remember, he missed his entire rookie year with the pectoral deal, and still was kind of working through that into the spring, summer, going into 2020 of training camp. So, he really got off to a slow start in terms of reps. And what they saw from him last year, because all the linemen had to play last year, he did show something. I thought he did play well at guard when he was in there.
And I think he has shown enough that they get an injury at tackle. Zach Martin's my backup tackle.
Because you feel better
about
guards.
I'll guarantee you McGovern will play a better guard than any of the other guys will play at tackle.
You think that's why ultimately they were like, yeah, Zach, okay. Because Mike has said he doesn't want to change two spots if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, but look to last year what happened.
Best five. Yeah.
They got forced to do it because it was so bad.
Yeah.
Right? Now, having said that, Terence Steele's body looks different. He looks like an NFL offensive lineman now.
He's put some weight on the lower half, which was one thing that I had knocked against him early last year. He came in as an undrafted free agent, and he was about as top-heavy as a Whataburger cup that you get in the drive-thru, and then you turn around and he's evened out a little bit.
So I think between Steele, Nasecki, and Josh Ball, those are the three guys I think the competition for that backup spot. Can they keep them all? Yeah, maybe so, as guys to groom. And then with McGovern, you got a backup guard. The key thing will be if Conor Williams can show he can be the backup center, because then you don't have to keep another swing guy, right? You can just keep one more guy, and you save spots by doing that. But they cannot do, if they don't have confidence in Nasecki, Ball, or Steele to be that backup swing tackle, then the drop of a dime, if something happens to one of those tackles, Zach's got to go out. They can't wait like they did last year. They wasted too much time.
Works for me.
Are there any reserves about Zach Martin and his health right now?
No, I think they're just being smart. I mean, they are rotating those right guard snaps in team, because we saw Conor Mcgovern. We saw Brandon Knight even, I think, with the first team a little bit yesterday.
He's been at left guard some.
Left guard?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I saw him.
And he might have been right.
Right.
I just know that when they went second team, he'd been the second team left guard.
Zach spoke to it a couple of days ago. As I get older, and he's only 30, but I mean, as he's been in the league.
That's for an offensive line. That's about a long. That's a long career.
So that's funny. He's only 30, right? But Tyron Smith, he's getting old. He's 30.
Yep.
Is he 30?
Yes.
That's crazy.
He turns 31, I think, in December, if I remember correctly.
So he was 20 when he came in?
Yeah, he was a
young pup.
He was a pup.
That's
right?
wild. That's like Witten when he came in.
Yeah, he's 30. So 31 in December. But it's his 11th season.
Crazy.
And it's Zach's 8th.
Yeah. And, I mean, Zach's had some stuff kind of pop up the last couple of years. Not anything super serious, but he had a back in training camp a couple years ago. He had the calf last year. So, yeah, just, be smart with one of the best three players on the team,
Yeah. And I just kind of wanted to bring that conversation up because, of course, with the revolving door that we had last year at offensive line, depth is an issue. And, Mickey, you even spoke about it in the last segment. Outside of Conor Mcgovern, the quote-unquote backup offensive line has not been impressive so far.
No, they have struggled. But, look what you're out there with. Josh Ball, rookie, right? Nasecki, now he's old, 36, right?
Yeah.
I would say that's old. He may not like that. You've got Forniak that's moving from guard to center, and then either McGovern and then who's ever at the Brandon Knight at the left guard spot, who's probably fighting and Steele's in there. So those guys are fighting just to make the roster, let alone a backup job. So, yeah, and it happens all the time. There's not enough offensive linemen in this league. to have too deep, right?
Right.
And if you look at when they tried to play these alternative leagues, the biggest problem they had is there's not enough offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. So the quarterback, however good, bad, or otherwise they are, they ain't got no shot because there's no protection when it's time to throw the football. So I don't know where all the offensive linemen have gone, but I don't know, did they play defense now or what?
Rob, why do we give a pass on some of these rookie offensive linemen, but we also have exceptionally high expectations for some of these rookie defensive linemen? Is it because of that reason that it's that much of an adjustment going from college to pro when stopping pass rushers as opposed to being the pass rushers?
That's a great question. I don't know why we do that. I guess it's a
normal thing.
Yeah,
everybody does it.
It's college football.
It's harder to find NFL-ready offensive linemen these days,
mm-hmm.
and if that's why it's so hard to find them off the waiver wire. Like Brian always used to say, and he was right. If you've got a good backup tackle, even if you have good depth, you're keeping him.
Yep.
Keeping him because they're not easy to find. And I do think it's the college game, the way the college game is played. It's fewer pro-style offenses, all the spread stuff, and it's just not the same.
All they're doing is pass blocking or trying to.
Yeah.
And they don't run the football hardly anymore. And then there's this, and Rob's probably heard me tell this story. So back in the 90s when Joe Brodsky was the offensive line, he was the running backs coach, but he had been a big-time high school coach in Miami, legendary. And so one day we were talking, and it was something, how it came up about offensive linemen. He goes, all right, Mick, let me explain it to you. I'm in high school. First day of practice, right? We get all these guys to come out, and you don't know what they can do or whatever, and you look around, and it's like, okay, that guy right there looks like the best athlete. You're my quarterback. Mm-hmm. The next best athlete, you're my running back. The next best guy, my defensive end. After that, can you catch the ball? You're the wide receiver. You can't catch the ball, you're the cornerback, right? Mm-hmm. And he says you go through this whole thing, and then you look around and you go, okay, all the rest of you guys, you're offensive linemen.
Wow.
Because you can't do anything, right? And they're the least athletic usually, because if you're athletic and big, you're on defensive end, right? Or you're chasing the quarterback, or you're a linebacker. But the rest of you guys, and if you go to high school games, I mean, there's some big old boys out there, right? And jersey barely fits, but that's how you make an offensive lineman. Then you hope maybe they grow into something, right?
That's a good point. It's the trickle down effect of how athletes are chosen from a younger age, I guess, is one way we could look at it at this point. But we've got a little bit of defensive talk to talk about as well. We're going to hit how did the defense look yesterday, and is it that much of an exciting prospect to think, hey, turnovers are going to be here in 2021 as opposed to 2020 when we return with more Talkin Cowboys here on DallasCowboys.com.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium this season. A limited number of single-game standing room only tickets are on sale now. Get yours today at DallasCowboys.com/tickets. About 10 minutes left here in this episode of Talkin' Cowboys. Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola, Kyle Yeomans here from Oxnard, California. We're entering practice day numero 6 here from the West Coast. And, well, practices 4 and 5 were highlighted by the defense, and it was a response from the defense after really the offense had their way in practices 2 and 3. You counted 9 interceptions the last 2 days, Mickey?
I think there was 5 on Tuesday and 4 yesterday.
There were more on Tuesday?
I believe so.
Wow.
I have to go back and look. But
it felt like there was an interception every 2 throws yesterday.
Mickey's right, though. There were a couple spots where it's like, hey, DiNucci, just throw it up there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, the DBs are flying around. And Kelvin Joseph's had like 3 practices in the
starting to emerge, though.
Yeah, no, I always kind of felt like once we got out there and he got settled in, like his talent would take over a little bit because he's a very talented player, and he did miss 10 days because of COVID quarantine in the spring. But he's flying around. He said no-fly zone, airplane mode. I mean, it's, that's a lot of swagger for just getting started in your first camp. But you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what this defense needs a little bit. And I think it does speak to, while Mickey was right, there's a couple busts there that we've seen on the defense. The communication seems to be really good.
Yep.
And I think when it's really good, guys are in the right spots, and to go make plays on the ball. And, some of the stuff we saw on Tuesday was red zone work, and it does get tighter and tougher down there for the offense to cash in. But, you cannot be anything but impressed with the way the defense is flown around here.
Kelvin Joseph has shown, and I thought that was going to be one of his attributes, speed. He has catch-up speed. DBs are going to get beat. And I've seen 2 plays where he's been beaten, ball's in the air, and he catches up and either deflects it or I think it's happened twice. It happened yesterday for sure on a crossing pattern. He was beat, and the ball's in the air, and he came in and knocked it out. There was a deep ball the other day where the guy was behind him, and the receiver was behind him, and he got back and got his hand up in the air and knocked it down. So I'll be interested to see if that continues. But Anthony Brown had a really nice interception yesterday,
really nice
right?
one.
So he's not sitting there going, okay, I can't hold this starting job, right? Go ahead, rookie, it's yours. No, and he also can play in the slot, which, mentioning the slot, Jordan Lewis better not miss another day because Maurice Kennedy is going to Wally Pip him here pretty soon. He's had 2 really good days without Jordan Lewis on the field.
A pick in each practice.
Right?
Yep.
And impressive ones, too.
I believe he had a PBU as well on Tuesday,
right,
along with his interception, a really nice one where he actually laid out and got a hand on the football. But this is kind of the buzzword that's been thrown around all of our podcasts. Mixed shots, Talking Cowboys, the break, doesn't matter, competition.
Yep.
And we have been waiting for that, especially in the secondary, for the last couple of years. And now you finally have it with Kelvin Joseph, who right now, if you ask pretty much anybody, he's not the starter. He's a second-string corner. But why was he the first name that brought up? Because he's bringing that swagger. He's bringing that competition, that confidence that this defense hasn't shown in years, Mick.
Well, I don't know about years. Let's not let last year cloud everything else that was
2018 maybe the last time?
Well, they were the number 11 defense in 2019. Now, I'm not talking about points. I'm talking about yards.
Sure.
Because they did give up way too many points. So all this talk, we're talking about cornerbacks, right? Can they stop the run? Because they couldn't last year. It was gosh awful.
Biggest problem they had by far
100%.
on the whole team.
And so I got to see, has this been solved? Has it been solved?
Right now, you think it has.
We think it could be, but we haven't seen it. I mean, you can't tell what's going on in practice if they're stopping the run. Pads come on the first day. You're not tackling anybody. They need to start tackling 34 and 37.
Sorry, Rico Dowdle and
21 gets
Hardy.
to stay up.
21 stays up.
20 stays up.
20 stays up. Yeah.
That's not nice, man.
You could go hit 45, too, because I don't think it'll bother him.
Shea Wu.
Golly. You think he can make this team?
Shea Wu Olanalua?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get a fullback out there?
Is that something I guess McCarthy's valued it in Green Bay.
They had that
John Kuhn.
That guy just ruined the Cowboys that one year, right?
Yeah.
Olanalua.
They might throw him the ball, right, after he caught 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
Then they didn't cover him. So, but again, can they stop the run? 2,500 yards rushing last year. Second most in franchise history.
We're not going to know. We're not going to know for sure until the game starts. And that's why training camp, you got to put a little bit of a disclaimer on everything you see. But no, I mean, there is confidence and activity these last couple days, especially in the secondary, where you're like, this is good. This is really promising looking, and I can't help but think a lot of it has to do with Dan Quinn being so hands-on and the communication. I think that's sorely needed from that position that he's filled.
And the competition will just get raised at safety now, right?
Yep.
With the addition of Malik Hooker. I'm not sure how soon he'll get into stuff, but let's see what happens. I don't know.
I asked him specifically that yesterday, and he wouldn't give me a date. He said they're just going to ease me in.
Well, he's got to ramp up.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything. He's coming off an Achilles.
Yeah.
That ain't easy.
No.
I can tell you.
And you were just trying to get back to sit in his chair.
I just want to sit up and walk, right? And this guy's going to go out there and try to play football, and I'm guessing he hadn't really done, you can condition, but I bet we don't see him in pads until next week.
That makes sense.
But there's only maybe the weekend.
One more practice today. And then you got 2 this weekend.
Saturday, Sunday. So maybe sometime in there. But, yeah, I don't think they're going to rush him out there. There's no need to do it. But I think the competition rises. KZ, Curse, let's see what you got. Because everybody back there is on a 1-year deal. Donovan Wilson. I did it again.
You did it again. You did it yesterday.
I told Donovan, I just promoted him to starting safety. Donovan Lewis, the ticket, right? Yeah, Donovan Wilson. And I think he's got a spot. But let's see, because I think it's open competition back there. We've been so worried about the safety position. Now we got all these guys. But guess what? 1-year deals. So no one's promised anything from a financial standpoint. You got to prove yourself. And even Keanu O'Neal, right? We're just assuming he's good. Well,
I am.
He's got competition. Have you seen anything at linebacker yet?
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I liked him in coverage yesterday.
I did too.
He followed Zeke all the way down the field, made a pass breakup. I feel like he's kind of been in the right spot, and that's the biggest, to me, that's maybe the biggest part of the linebacker position going back to last year.
You rather him there than Parsons?
No. There's a difference between splash plays in training camp and also just kind of watching to see if guys are doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
And so sometimes that kind of those lines get blurred in training camp. I'm not saying Parsons hadn't had a good camp. I mean, he shows up every day with something.
Yeah.
But I think Keanu O'Neal's got a spot on this team. I don't know how many snaps he's going to play, and I think maybe as we go on throughout the season, Micah Parsons plays more and more and more. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a spot for him. And I'm with Mick on safety. I think Donovan Wilson is a starter, but that other spot could be up for grabs, especially if Hooker gets going here.
I think all 3 of those guys are fighting for that free safety spot because I think right now the safest bet is to say your starting safety or strong safety rather is Donovan Wilson.
We think, but they've kind of rotated that too.
That's what I'm saying.
He's played some free also, by the way.
Well, he did that last year too. He bounced back and forth. So I think that's the safest bet right now is to say that 6 is going to be out there for the most part. But then you've got 3 other guys clamoring for the rest of the snaps. And I think we already talked about it on another show, but the fact that Malik Hooker was signed and he was out on the field, it looked like they had raised their competition level. It looked like they had raised it up a little bit. KZ had the really nice interception that was returned for a touchdown.
That's true. That was the day
Malik showed up on the sideline.
Yeah.
So
it's like, hold up here, right? Not so fast.
Mm-hmm. Which is back to the competition aspect.
Yeah.
You have guys here that you think can come in and win a starting job, and if you think you can win a starting job, you're going to have that extra competition
And KZ,
factor.
another guy's coming off a torn
Both guys, Hooker and KZ.
Right? And the year before, it was Neal, right?
Yes.
So
Neal missed some time last year as well.
Yeah. So this is going to be a prove it position. And then we haven't talked about the linebackers, but there's some great competition going on there.
You know what? Let's talk about that on Saturday when we come back on Talkin Cowboys. That's the homework assignment for all three of us.
Keep an eye on the linebackers.
Keep an eye on the linebackers because whenever we get to Saturday, I want to try and rank all four of them.
I want to see some tackling going on.
We did that on the sideline yesterday, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'll save it for Saturday.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we need.
I'll join that conversation.
All right. We need some running, like up the middle type stuff, right? Like they used to do in the old days.
They did it a lot
guys
yesterday.
On the ground.
Oklahoma drill.
Put them on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
Jimmy, when they would do that inside run, when we were in Austin, Jimmy would let us go on the field and stand behind to watch it.
Good luck with that now.
To ramp up the competition, right?
Because the media is right on top of you.
Those guys are right there. They're going to see everything that happens. And, boy, was there some head knocking going on. It was live. But we got to go on the field to watch it. When they first invited us on, we looked at each other like, does he really want us to go stand there like 10, 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage? And we did. It was great. It was great.
Things have changed.
Yeah. We were probably got to be 60 yards away from him if we're on the field today,
Probably,
right?
yeah. Most likely. But, yeah, we're going to watch the linebackers. We're going to come back with more of that on Saturday. That's the next time we're back and live. It'll get everything kicked off 11 a.m. Central Time back in the Lone Star State, and then we'll be live out here at 9 a.m. Pacific Coast Time. But for Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola, Kyle Yeomans, Chris Beam in the back, saying so long here from Oxnard, California. More Cowboys training camp on the way. Be sure to stay up to date on DallasCowboys.com. We'll see you Saturday.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!